Am I live? Check, check, check. I think so. I'm going to assume I'm live here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a couple weeks, I think, right? Let's see, I just had this thing up. June 6th. So plus 7 would be 13. Did I do that math right? Yeah. 13 plus another 7, 20. Yeah. It's been like 3 weeks. Been a little busy. So I was out of town last week, and that's going to just tie right into what I want to talk about today. Was out of town last week. Oh, look at this! I moved my little table here back so I can lean up against here and be super lazy when I'm sitting here. But it's kind of nice. Don't judge me. So was out of town last week at a big old conference. I'll get back to that. But then it's like, the week before, it's like I gotta get ready for that week and being gone. It's like I gotta do like 3 weeks of work at once. And anyway, so a little off rhythm here. So I figured, hey, why don't I just keep it off rhythm and go off script? So I want to tell you about my week last week a little bit and tie it into just kind of what the heck we're doing here at the gym. So went to this conference last week, and the conference is on classical Christian education, and I had an objective for the week. I had a few objectives, and one of them was not only accomplished, but just kind of discovered some things that I wasn't even expecting. So that objective was to try to uncover and figure out what's going on with physical education. Okay, so I've got lots of convictions about fitness and what it should look like, what it can look like. Pursuit for, living a healthy life as an adult. A lot of this stuff, my kids are just naturally experiencing, observing, just living within our household and being around here at the gym. But if you're unaware of what's going on at New City Classical Academy, things are picking up. Things are happening and moving over there, and figuring out systematically how to, instill these values, instill these convictions into our kids, and do it in a systematic way. By golly, it seems like an important thing to do. So basically, I wanted to see, at these conferences, there's vendors there, and a couple of them are publishers who have lots of curriculum for all the other subjects, and I wanted to see if anybody had any phys ed curriculum. I found out that nobody does. Nobody there is selling anything like that. And then they've got these little name tags with badges of what you teach. And I just picked up the the ones that said PE and athletic director. I am currently neither the PE teacher or athletic director at the school, but I put those on my name tag, trying to kind of lure some people into conversations. And I think I maybe saw one other guy with one of those tags, just in passing, didn't talk to him. And then another guy who didn't actually pick up the tag, but somehow, I don't know, one of the other people in our group was talking to him, and it's like, oh, you should go talk to this dude. And basically kind of confirmed that nobody's doing what I think can and should be done in the realm of physical education. So that being said, did have some great conversations with some other people there who are kind of aware of the fact that this movement of classical education is at a big deficit, for what it is providing physically. So for PE, this physical education piece, for just training in general, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what this would look like. Would it look like more of a daily practice of the kids having almost a liturgy of movement to run through? Would it look like straight up CrossFit class? Would it look like something in between, what you might have experienced in public school as a PE class with games and things, right? I'm asking those questions. So as a part of that process, gosh, my head's all over the place. This is what you're going to get because I made a couple notes here, but I'm mostly doing this so I can just kind of get my thoughts straight. I'm going to get back to some of that history type of stuff I was about to go into. But I had a few conversations with other people affirming the need for some development here. And the sentiment was, yeah, you should do that. Yeah, you should figure out what we need to do here and kind of lead the way with it. Which I love, right? Great. I'd love to take on that job. But while I understand fitness as it pertains to training adults and kind of best practice with, the tools of this type of box gym that we've got with open space and pull-up bars and dumbbells and barbells and this sort of stuff. There's a couple unique pieces with, number one, dealing with children. So I tell most people who come in these doors that what we do is infinitely scalable, from the abilities of my grandmother up to an Olympic level athlete and the best in the world. And well, that's super true. And I can take anybody walking in the doors through a workout matching their ability level. What I am looking for is just a better system for and a more progressive, almost goal-based, with kind of check marks and checkpoints, or basically seeing if kids can do certain things by certain ages, that sort of thing. And it doesn't exist in a great way, at least not that I've found, in a way that maps onto the convictions I have about what adults should be doing. So there's that, and that stuff I think I can figure out, right? Just all it takes is a little bit of thought and a little bit of working with kids. I know what certain kids are doing in high school. I know what my kids are able to do. I know kind of what are the gaps in between there, and that's not the challenging part. The bigger piece is recovering what was maybe lost. Okay? So let me get into this history stuff now. So we talk a lot about the standard American lifestyle, the standard American diet, and how if you're truly observing and truly assessing just where we're at as a society as it pertains to health right now, it's not good. It's really not good. And a lot of these issues like chronic disease, obesity, cancer, I mean, go down the list. Mental diseases. A lot of this stuff is very modern. Okay, it's stuff that people have not really dealt with to the degree that we are dealing with now, ever in the history of the world. And I think there is something unique about that. So we should understand how we got here. And while I've generally been aware of a lot of this stuff, I'm gonna bring you along on a little bit of my discovery of just kind of putting the puzzle together here. So it's really easy to understand. Okay, we don't live in this type of agrarian society anymore, where people are raising and growing their own food. We don't even live in. There's another name for it, but basically, like you're working different trades. So yeah, you might not be the farmer or the rancher, but you're, making shoes, or you're the blacksmith, or this type of idea, and being able to trade goods and all this stuff, right? Is not the type of society that we live in. A huge piece of just our lifestyle changing. We can point at the Industrial Revolution, and really, I was in the amount of research I've done, just kind of getting a better grasp of, okay, what did this history of the world look like? The Industrial Revolution really, I think, people say it kind of started a few hundred years ago, but really, I mean, up until the point where you're seeing, most people work on these devices right here. I think these computers have really expedited any negative things that the Industrial Revolution alone has brought about in terms of our health. So, sticking with that, people's jobs don't require them to be physically active, right? You can, especially now, right, where, yeah, if you were in a factory, you may not have been growing your own food, but a lot of factory work is still fairly physically demanding. I mean, that's the people I know now, my friends and members of the gym here, the guys who work in larger facilities like that, they actually have some of the more physically demanding work relative to what most other people are doing on a daily basis now. And so, yeah, the computer work, the knowledge work, right, has gotten us to a point where regular life does not keep us in a certain state of health. It does not keep us with a certain capacity physically, and that means we have to think about exercise, right? We have to think about doing something physically to take care of ourselves physically, because our normal life just doesn't do that, right? If we were working the ground, if we were building fences, and we were building houses, and we were doing this type of work, lifting heavy things, manual labor, we really wouldn't have to do as much of exercise for health. Although sport has always been a thing, right? And performance, I mean, like, that's certainly one side of, hey, what can we possibly exercise for? But another big factor that this is a more new discovery, is just how strong the tie was between any physical training and just preparing men for war, right? So you look at what are called the martial arts. So that word, you say martial arts and you think like karate or something like that. But the word martial, I believe, simply means of or appropriate to war. Okay. So basically any type of training that is intended to prepare you to, go out in combat, right? could be could be actual wrestling, right? Could be swords and horses, and depending on what period of history you're looking at. That was a huge piece of what physical training, physical fitness was meant for. And a really interesting piece that I heard this week, I can't remember. I've been listening to a lot of different interviews, and I picked up a handful of books. There's one guy who was talking about, hey, this is really a huge focus in physical education from ancient Greece all the way up until even like World War I. Okay. But then he said there's a negative response to essentially how bloody World War I was, and for us to have this fitness regimen that was really designed and intended to prepare men for war, and that was actually at one of the critical moments where a lot of just the sport-based phys ed got more popular because people didn't want to be as associated with the combatives and the martial arts and the intent to train men to be dangerous. And so he said that a lot of the physical markers for military for World War II, a lot of markers went down. Specifically, he was looking at like upper body strength. It showed that there was a shift and a change in how we approached physical education and physical fitness, making it more of this sport-based thing. So just more of these little pieces that they add up to get us to where we're at today. Okay. But then if we look super, super far back, okay, so I already mentioned Greek society. And I've got this other book here that I haven't quite started yet, but I've gotten a few little tidbits from. So one of the, and again, I'm just rolling off the top of my head here, bringing you along the ride for my discovery process. So the way this book starts talking about teaching kids from the beginning. So step one is everything is based on piety. Okay. But then immediately it goes into, hey, the first element of education for children is what they would call an embodied education. We're taking them and where they're at physically and starting to shape that really before even much of the mind, right? We're going to have them do before they really can think deeply. And we already see that in the model of classical education. So if you're not unfamiliar, the model is kind of split up to really work with the grain of the child. At a young age, the cognition is not online to really make sense of the world. But those kids are sponges, right? They can absorb everything. I have always thought that my children, they have these just Loctite memories because they don't have as many life experiences, and it's like every little thing for them it's like takes up such a much larger percentage of their brain capacity than for me it's spread across 3 times as many years, and that one thing becomes smaller and smaller and smaller the more experiences you gain, but it really is their brains are just wired to just absorb, right? And then later in like the middle school years, they start asking the questions of why, right? They start, being able to logically put things together. And then in the high school years, they this, want to argue. They want to take a position and be able to defend it. And so in those early years when, okay, you really can't do a ton of deep intellectual work. Well, let's take control of our bodies first, right? We're all embodied human beings, and the way they do this was primarily through two means. So this is something else I just kind of dawned on me this week. The gymnastics side of it, so that was one. That makes sense, okay? But then the second is music, okay? Music as this embodied reality. So the most fundamental form of music is our singing voice. And your voice, the ability to sing, this is an embodied reality. Never thought of it that way before. Always had music just kind of pegged as, an artistic type of thing, but it is a physical thing, right? These sound waves, right, hitting our ears. This is a physical reality. So super interesting. And we can trace all the way back to that society where, yes, a ton of that was geared towards training men for war. Got into a little bit of Plato, who definitely had some ideas about how, hey, if we develop in gymnastics, if we develop the body, we can avoid medicine and therefore remain effective, be able to work more than if we are getting sick and needing more medicine and time off from working and all this stuff, right? So he definitely had that sort of idea. I guess I kind of skipped over this piece of, these guys didn't have to deal with some of the problems we have. Yes, computers, but also like the diets that we eat, right? The ability to create seed oils didn't exist, right? And so didn't have to worry about it. Didn't have to talk a ton about what healthy food was, because almost all food was healthy, other than maybe simply gluttony, right? Maybe simply overeating and overindulging, and sure, drunkenness, right? So I'm putting all these pieces together, right? And this is also kind of happening simultaneous to just kind of clarifying the convictions that Alex and I have just about what is a Christian's responsibility over their physical body, and does this really matter as much as we think it matters, right? And so the framework that we've kind of started to use and communicate to some of the gentlemen here is that first and foremost, we need to take care of our bodies, because it is in and of itself an act of worship. It is us honoring the creator of our body by taking care of it. Then, underneath of that, our purpose and our responsibilities also require us physically. It requires, so for men, our roles as leaders and protectors and providers within our household, those jobs, those responsibilities require us to be physically capable, okay? And it's another one of those things that, because of modern life, we've just gotten backwards in the way we are thinking about these things. So providing, for example, we can have jobs where we can sit here and work at a computer and get paid to do that, and it is technically, earning us a paycheck and fulfilling that role and responsibility. But not only is that short-sighted, so our brain does not function as well when our body is not functioning as well. We are one unit. We are one connected network of systems, and we cannot we're not brains on a stick, right? We are not just thinkers, and that aspect is not going to work well. Should we not be taking care of the whole? Plus, hey, if you are sick and you can't do that work, right? You lost out on it. And so when we know that a certain lifestyle inevitably leads to these certain problems, I would say it is absolutely irresponsible not to fend off against that, build a hedge against that. Yeah, so this is something we have to think about, again, taking care of ourselves physically, because our work does not just do that for us. The standard American diet does not do that for us. But there's an interesting element when we look at our role as protectors, okay? And this even gets back into this idea of training men for war and for combat. War is highly sophisticated now as well, right? Guns and now drones, and we can do a lot of stuff from behind a computer, and all of this could very well lead us to think that, yeah, we don't need to be physically capable now either, if it's not any sort of hand-to-hand combat, or you're needing to swing around a sword, for example. But I think that is extremely short-sighted, and it requires a logical leap that we don't make elsewhere. So, for example, this little device here, this can read anything to me. It can do math for me. There's a calculator on here. There's graphing calculators and all different kinds of calculators. This thing can do so much more than what my brain can do. But why doesn't that stop us from teaching kids math? Why doesn't that stop us from teaching kids how to read? Why does the existence of this not stop us from teaching kids history that, heck, they might not even be able to find on here? Okay, see where I'm going with this. Why should the existence of a strong tool completely wipe out our training in everything else, right? These are tools, and should we not use them appropriately, they're going to kill us one way or another. And in this way, it may be the fact that, hey, we are completely incapable without these and become completely dependent upon these types of things, right? So, like weapons, etc., right? Your gun jams, now what? Okay, it really can be as simple as that. But then this leader one, this is a thought I just was kind of having today. Having the role as a leader, and I'm kind of using that in the sense of like maybe even any like public figure, being a leader of people. You are somebody who people look up to, okay, and there's a reality there that to be a good leader, you need to actually be somebody that is you're kind of, the word I wrote down here is an aspirational figure, okay, and we even see some of this stuff with we look at the difference between King Saul and noticeably a smaller human in King David. And one of the complaints that Israel had was like, hey, like Saul's this dude. He looks like a king. This guy doesn't, right? So there's something intrinsic about that kind of aspirational figure in leadership. Now, what we'd also know about David is he was a man who was very successful in war. We know that he took down Goliath. We know that he was a very physically capable man, right? So even him, who they're saying, hey, is a lesser dude than this man's man over here, still way above what our standards are today, right? And so this gets me back to some of these conversations that we had last week. Multiple guys really brought it back to the fact that we are living through a crisis of masculinity, and it's a problem. It is a problem for households. It's a problem for churches. It's a problem for businesses. It's a problem for society as a whole. And I think there's an opportunity for this classical Christian education movement to really play a pretty significant role in helping to solve that problem. So if we can figure out how to train our men better, and this is not to exclude the girls at all, a big piece that was mentioned multiple times in some of the stuff I've uncovered in the past couple of weeks is that, like, women saw their roles as childbearers as a very good reason to take care of themselves, right? So not only for creating children and being able to multiply on the earth, but also, like, the job of a mom is pretty darn physically demanding. And then even back to an agrarian society, like that's everybody's involved, right? Everybody's involved with the labor that needs to be done. So we're way off everywhere. Anyway, however, one of the things that is very clear is that right now within this school system and movement, the ladies are succeeding a lot more than the gentlemen are. Every year at the conference they do this, I forget what they call it. It's an oratory contest where seniors have the opportunity to enter a paper. I don't know if they like film themselves giving a presentation or how it happens, but it's a contest, and the winner gets to speak at the conference. And been for 3 years, and for 3 years it has been a girl, and they've always been fantastic. But it's just kind of another one of those things that's saying, hey, like, maybe something's missing for these boys, and maybe developing them physically is a piece to that solution. So I'm pretty jazzed up to just put my brain towards this. If you got this far, this is longer than normal. If you got this far, thanks. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna be wrestling with this for a while, trying to just kind of clarify a message here. This was all over the place. Kind of try to clarify that, and as well as, like, hey, take it a little bit more seriously of what should it look like for kids to really develop. If you're not familiar, you should check out the high school was called La Sierra High School. They were around in the 60s-ish, right around the time that JFK was doing all his presidential physical fitness stuff. But they had a PE program or just a fitness program that was churning out some dudes. There's videos of this school, and these high school boys look like Olympic athletes, right? So there's a documentary called The Motivation Factor. I started watching it last week. I need to finish watching it. But just one example of somebody more recently who has just done some good work in this area. And yeah, things have changed. And I'm trying to put my noggin towards figuring it out. I found this on eBay, recommended from somebody else. Can you see that? Oh, turned it the wrong way. This is Mr. Peanut's Guide to Physical Fitness. So this is a little booklet from Planters from 1967. And within here, it's got like exercises, right? Running in place, the twister, these windmills. This was a movement that was in the La Sierra program, showing you how to do push-ups. Let's read this. Lie on the floor, face down, legs together, hands on floor, right underneath your shoulders, with hands straight ahead. Push up from the floor. Your weight is on your hands and toes. Now lower your body until your chest just touches the floor. Repeat 10 times. Remember to keep your body straight at all times. That was a phenomenal description of a real push-up. There are lots and lots and lots of people in gyms all over the world right now who can't do what Planters Peanuts was doing in 1967 in this little book. I mean, look at this stuff. There's, okay, Mr. Peanut's fitness test. Look at this. This is exciting. This is recommended to me from another podcast. This flexed arm hang, trunk flexion, reach for the peanut, 60-second sit-up, standing broad jump, 50-yard dash, softball throw, 600-yard run. Man, this is cool. This is cool. They've got, look at this. Ages 7 through 9, boys and girls. The champ, 9-year-old champ. Oh, I should get my son to do this. Asher, get ready. Flexed arm hang. Over 50 seconds for the championship rating. Trunk flexion. Oh, this is a flexibility test. Reach for the peanut. That's funny. Look at this. 12. Is this 12 inches below your toes? I'm gonna have to really dig into this. But this is what a friggin' food company was putting out in the 60s, right? This is a cool little artifact. So, as I'm researching some history, I got another book. It's literally called The History of Physical Fitness, I think. Going through a bunch of different elements. And then the liberal arts tradition was that more broad education book that was talking about starting from with gymnastics and music, this embodied education stuff, if you want to dig into any of that stuff. Okay, cool. Maybe back to regular stuff next week, or maybe I will have spent some time actually clarifying some of these thoughts, and I'll have more to say next week. Maybe I'll have Alex on here, and he'll dig into some of that, but okay, I think that's all.